Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to be taking a look at Halo Infinite's multiplayer, which has released about 3 weeks early. This game was not supposed to come out until December 8th, but they decided to just kind of go ahead and push it out the door for their, I believe it was the 20th anniversary or something. So they just kind of released it, and they're calling it a beta, but it's really the final release of the free multiplayer portion of this game. The campaign is still going to be $60, and I've got some opinions on that, which I'll get into later in the video with the microtransactions and everything, which are rife in this game. But the multiplayer portion of it is free, and it's available now, and even though they're calling this a quote-unquote beta, it appears to be the full final release of the multiplayer, and the optimization has gotten better since the second flight of the game. And to top that all off, Season 1 has already started, so the Season 1 of the Halo multiplayer and the progress with your Spartan is going to be carrying through December 8th. So as far as I'm concerned, this is Halo Infinite's multiplayer in its full form. So with that out of the way, let's jump in and take a look at the graphics settings, and then we'll talk about the performance, and then wrap up everything towards the end, talking about the microtransactions and the Battle Pass and the Premium Battle Pass and all that kind of stuff, and some thoughts I have about that. And timestamps will be down in the description. So go ahead and jump into the settings here. Like I said, we always like to do this here for these videos. So graphics options, we'll go ahead and start there. We've got an FOV slider, which by default was at like around here, 78. You can kind of see the marker there. Goes all the way down to 65 and as high as 120. So that appears to be a horizontal FOV slider, which I prefer to have at 90 degrees. I am playing on my Acer X27, which is a 4K 120Hz monitor. You could set a minimum and maximum frame rate on this, but I have VSync off in the driver, so it's going to be ignoring that. And then you can also limit the inactive frame rate if you want to do that as well. Coming down to graphics, I am on a custom preset, but it's basically max settings, but they do have presets in here for low, medium, high, or ultra. Anti-aliasing goes up to high. All of these are on the highest settings that they have available. We've got texture filtering, ambient occlusion, texture quality, geometry quality, reflections, which are actually quite good. Depth of field, which you seemingly cannot disable altogether, which is very unfortunate. So I just have it on the highest quality, but I wish you could turn it off, especially for a multiplayer game. Shadow quality, we've also got lighting, volumetric fog. This is the highest that goes, as you can see there. Even on the ultra preset, that's just as high as that goes. But then other things do go all the way up to ultra. And we've got a decent amount of options here. We've also got cloud quality, dynamic wind, ground cover, effects, decal, which again, that's the highest that goes, and animation quality, which by default was on auto, but I went ahead and raised that up to max. We've also got terrain quality, simulation, flocking quality. I don't know what the flock that is, but there it is. Simulated flock, such as birds heard. That's actually exactly what that sounds like. It's right there on the screen on the right side. And I was like, maybe that's some kind of weird, like, graphic thing I've never heard of, what the flock is flocking. But no, it literally is flocks of birds. All right, there you go. That's what that is. And async compute was not enabled by default, but I have gone ahead and used it. And thankfully, all this stuff down here were all down at 0 when I first booted up the game. So your blur, screen shake, exposure, full screen effects, this was up, and I pretty much left all this at stock settings there. Speed lines, terrible thing. Turn that off. I don't know why you'd want all that sort of rubbish on the screen when you're trying to play a multiplayer competitive game. For keyboard and mouse options, we've got full customizations in here. You can adjust your mouse sensitivity, obviously, as well as customize the key bindings on here, which is a little bit of a kind of a simplistic and annoying little menu to use, as you can't really see, you know, all the options kind of at once, and so you kind of have to really go through it, and it's quite a lengthy list of options here to kind of go through and customize everything. So like I said, it's a bit of a pain in the ass if you really do want to, you know, fine-tune your key bindings and stuff, but at least it's here, and you can set, you know, variants, multiple keys for different things if you want to have it on multiple options, like grenades or G or C by default. And some of this stuff I do need to mess with, because by default switching grenade types is N. Like, who the hell wants to reach across the keyboard for N? So I might have to get rid of that, throw a grenade with C, since I'm only ever going to use G, and I'll probably end up remapping this at some point. Just haven't gotten around to it yet. So with that out of the way, let's jump in. We'll take a look at the game performance in the multiplayer beta, and then also after that we'll talk about some of the microtransaction stuff, as I do have some thoughts on that personally. But first, today's video is brought to you by PrimeTechMart.com, where you can save money on software like Windows 10 Pro licenses for under $25. They've also got Windows 10 Home for under $20, and now Windows 11 Pro you can grab over on PrimeTechMart.com. They've also got Office 2019 and the new Office 2021. And if you want to save an additional 20% at checkout on Windows 10 or any other software, go ahead and click Buy It Now, and during the checkout process, go ahead and put JP20 in and apply that coupon, and that'll give you 20% off of any software that you happen to pick up over there. So for Windows 10 Pro, you can see it dropped our price down from $24.46 to under $20. So be sure to hit up the links down in the description below, and don't forget to use my coupon code JP20 at checkout for an additional 20% off. When it comes to the actual performance of the game, I'm overall pleased as far as it doesn't really seem to have any significant hitches or stutters or anything like that. There will be maybe a little bit here and there, kind of like when you first load in, or maybe if there's a lot of stuff going on screen. And they can happen here or there, but for the most part, it is fairly smooth, even though it has a very, very erratic frame time graph, which is always in a constant state of the same exact flux. It's just a constant, up and down, like very, very steady and consistent, but just a little bit all over the place. But you don't really feel it while you're playing, so it doesn't really seem to be causing any negative impact on the actual gameplay. Unlike the second flight that I played in, which I believe was only with bots, this is actually playing with real people now, which explains why I get killed quite often. But overall, the performance seems to be okay. Like, it's all right. For the visual quality that we're getting here, in that respect, I would say that I'm a little bit disappointed with it, because on some of these levels, it's like down around 60 frames. I don't think I ever saw it go below 60, apart from maybe like a brief hitch or something. But for the most part, running around, it is running over 60 frames, sometimes even getting to the 70s and 80s and stuff on my 3080 Ti here at 4K, maxed out. So overall, like, it's okay, but for the visual quality that we're seeing on screen, I feel like the frame rate should be a hell of a lot higher than what we're getting here, because it doesn't really look like any different than pretty much any other Halo game. There's maybe a little bit more environmental detail, and some of the reflections and lighting do look a little bit better on certain maps, but, like, some maps are just kind of like grassy and just kind of very dull and muted tones and stuff like that, and they don't look particularly good. So, I mean, I think the campaign is probably going to be ending up being a lot more detailed and fleshed out. These are just, multiplayer maps at the end of the day. They don't need to look absolutely incredible. They need to be functional, and need to have good alleys and stuff like that make for competitive gameplay. But they can tone it down. That's absolutely fine that they've toned it down on a lot of these maps to make it a little bit more simpler for the multiplayer aspect. But I feel like that should come along with an improvement maybe in the performance, because otherwise, why am I barely just holding over 60 frames per second here on a 3080 Ti? I feel like there could be some more optimization done there, and the reason I'm talking about that is because it makes me concerned about the single player. Once that does ship on December 8th, which is going to have probably a lot more larger set pieces, more elaborate environments and stuff, in the actual single-player campaign. And I think with that, we may end up having to tweak down some options in order to get frame rates over 60, even on a very, very high-end card like the 3080 Ti. So I think that's a very strong possibility with the final release and stuff on the single-player. But the multiplayer, like I said, it's running okay. I'm not having any performance issues per se. I haven't had any crashes or anything along those lines. It was more or less just, I feel like it should be running better for what I'm seeing on the screen here. I don't think the graphics are particularly good, and I definitely don't think they look next gen by any means. I feel like if bought a Series X and hoping for a proper next gen Halo game, I think you're going to be a little bit disappointed with the visuals in this game. And Halo games, back in the day at least, they were always kind of pushing the boundaries of visuals, in my opinion. And it doesn't really seem like they've done that here. And I was hoping for a little bit more, that's all. I'm not pissed off, I'm not angry about it. I just thought they could have done a lot better. So, final take is, at the end of the day, I think the performance is alright, but it's not amazing. And they maybe could have done a little bit better with the optimization, and maybe we will see some further optimization by the time the full game releases on December 8th along with the single player, although I really think this is the full multiplayer release. I wouldn't really call this a beta, not when they have microtransactions and stuff in it, which we'll be getting to in a moment. I was on the latest NVIDIA driver for this that just came out, which was 496.76 for all the gameplay that you're seeing here. So, yeah, there you go. Like I said, this is available now for free. Even if you don't have a Game Pass, you can access it. So if you've been playing it over the past couple days, let me know down in the comments below, you know, how it's running for you on your hardware, what your setup is. And let's talk a little bit about these microtransactions, shall we? When it comes to the microtransactions, and again, they're calling this a beta, but it's really not a beta. I've already said that at the start. The Season 1 progress for the Battle Pass and leveling up your Spartan has already begun. So, you know, you level up your character, and this is going to carry through December 8th. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the release of the game, and you shouldn't have if they're calling it a beta, then be a beta. And you shouldn't have microtransactions in a beta, and I'm not going to make a big deal about that, but I am a little annoyed by the fact that they're making this a free-to-play multiplayer, and I'm doing that in air quotes, which you obviously can't see, and I feel like that is a little bit dubious. Call it free-to-play is riddled with microtransactions, and I feel it's great that people will be able to access it and play it completely for free. That's awesome. You don't even need the Game Pass to access the multiplayer portion of this on Xbox or on PC. So that's nice. It's kind of like Warzone in that respect, but also they kind of do that so they could sort of get away with these more egregious tactics of microtransactions like the Battle Pass, which is extremely grindy. We'll go ahead and jump on it here. This is the only way I've found to actually access this fucking thing. And they have a premium version of the Battle Pass, and there are some. It's kind of like Battle Pass 101 at this point. If you've seen something like Apex Legends or Warzone, it's very similar to that, where there are some free shitty unlocks that you can get if you don't buy the Battle Pass. But then if you buy the Battle Pass, you can get things like different, you know, different things, parts for your armor and all that kind of stuff, you know, which normally you would just get from, you know, playing in the game and leveling up. And there are some unlocks for that stuff, but really all of the choice stuff is going to be in the Battle Pass, and even some of this stuff is pretty friggin' weak, honestly. Like, these customizations are pretty weak, and, you know, they want to charge a premium for that. And then on top of that, we've also got the shop, which betas generally don't have shops, and this is a shop. And you can buy things like armor sets for 2,000 in-game credits, and you get the buy credits, which are, if we bring this up here, let's see how much they are. So 10,000 credits is $90. 1,000 credits is $9. So it's like almost $1 per 100. A little. It's like 90 cents per 100 or so, roughly. Basically, what it works out to, until you get to the bigger packages, like for $90, yeah, $90, and then you could spend a fifth of that on one fucking armor set, which looks all right. I mean, it's got a pink mask, it's shiny, it's reflective, kind of looks hot. But yeah, this is why it is free to play. They're not making this multiplayer free to play out of the kindness of their hearts. They're doing it so that they can get it onto more people's Xboxes and PCs, and then milk them for microtransactions, which I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, why do you care? It's free. It's because they are still charging. If the multiplayer is free, then why is the campaign $60? That's like half the game. It should be like $30, and it's going to have, what, like the firefight mode probably too, which is meh. So yeah, it just feels deceptive to me. It feels deceptive to say that the multiplayer is free and you have to buy the campaign. I'd rather just be under one package and then have the unlocks just be, you know, unlockable rather than purchasable. Because really all the good, like I said, all the good stuff is hidden away in the shop, in the microtransactions. If you want any of this stuff, it's all sort of just tucked away in there, and you gotta, you know, purchase it for, you know, whatever, $90 for 10,000 credits, which you could probably go through in a couple of minutes. And this is only going to get more and more fleshed out over time as this game continues to carry on, and it was probably going to be quite popular. Maybe not as popular as something like Warzone or Apex Legends, but it could be. With it being free, a lot of people are going to be able to play this, and it's nice that this is available on PC. Like, I will say that, like, we finally got the Halo franchise back on PC, which they've been doing over the past couple of years with the Master Chief Collection and all of that. So it's nice to see the return of Halo to PC. And overall, I'm pleased with the game at the end of the day. But the microtransactions are a little egregious, and I feel like they're just kind of taking the piss by making it free. But hey, that's just me. You let me know down in the comments below if you agree or disagree. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Ciao.